Miguel's small feet touched the rough pavement of Cebu City, each step reminding him of the life he came from. The streets were alive with the usual chaos of jeepneys honking, vendors calling out their sales, and children running barefoot, just like him. But Miguel's world that morning felt different. He clutched his mother Rosa's hand tightly, his palm damp with nerves. She had worked tirelessly, selling fruits at the market, her hands calloused from years of sacrifice. Now all her hopes rested on her son's voice. Rosa bent down slightly and whispered, "Chinak, just sing with your heart. They will listen." Her voice was soft but carried the weight of both love and survival. Miguel's chest rose and fell quickly as if the words had both comforted and pressured him. Ahead of him lay a building glowing with stage lights, something he had only ever seen from a distance, like a dream out of reach. The boy's tattered shirt and worn-out shorts made him look out of place among the glitter and cameras, but inside, a fire was burning. Every step toward the audition hall was a step toward proving that poverty could not silence talent. For Miguel, the lights no longer seemed impossible. They were waiting for him, inviting him. His heart pounded with fear and hope, knowing that today might change his life forever. Miguel stood frozen under the blinding lights of the stage, the microphone trembling in his small hands. His heart pounded so loudly in his chest that he feared the judges could hear it. The vast audience stretched before him, their faces curious, some even skeptical. From the panel, the judges exchanged quick glances, their expressions doubtful, as if expecting another nervous child who would falter under pressure. Miguel swallowed hard, the lump in his throat heavy, and closed his eyes for a brief second, recalling his mother's words, "You sing with your heart, Inak." Taking a deep breath, he let the first note escape his lips. It was soft, pure, almost fragile, but it carried a depth that instantly shifted the air in the hall. The judges, who just a moment ago looked uncertain, leaned forward in their seats. The room, buzzing with whispers and restless energy, fell silent within seconds. His voice rose with the melody of Hotel California, not imitating but owning it in his own innocent yet powerful way. The audience, caught off guard, leaned closer, their eyes widening. Some placed their hands over their chests as goosebumps spread across their arms. What had begun as doubt was now awe. In that moment, Miguel was no longer just a poor boy from Cebu. He was an artist, commanding every ear, every heart, with the purity of his angelic voice. Miguel's voice soared higher, each note trembling with honesty, carrying years of hardship and hope. The melody wrapped itself around the hall, pulling everyone into a story. It was no longer just a performance, it was a confession, a cry from the soul of a boy who had known hunger, struggle, and dreams too big for his world. The energy in the room shifted. The restless murmurs of the crowd faded into absolute silence, as though the entire hall was holding its breath. Judge Elena's lips parted slightly, her hand pressed against her chest. Her eyes glistened with tears that she didn't try to hide. She had seen hundreds of contestants, many with talent, but few who could move her this way. Each note felt like it came straight from Miguel's heart into hers. Beside her, Judge Ramon, known for his cold critiques and unforgiving nature, sat forward in his chair. His stern jaw loosened, and his voice dropped to a hushed whisper only the other judges heard. "This boy is different." The audience felt it too. Goosebumps spread across their arms, and many clasped their hands together as if witnessing something sacred. Some gasped softly, unable to believe that such a powerful angelic sound could come from a boy who looked so fragile on stage. In that moment, Miguel was transformed. He was no longer just a poor child. He had become a beacon of raw, undeniable magic. Miguel's small frame seemed to disappear beneath the lights, yet his voice filled every corner, the hall with strength and purity. Each lyric flowed like a river of emotion, carrying the weight of his struggles and the innocence of his dreams. The crowd, which had been restless just moments earlier, grew completely still. The silence was not empty, it was charged, heavy with awe. It felt as if the entire hall had been caught in a spell woven by the boy's angelic voice. Judge Elena shifted in her seat, unable to contain the flood of emotion rising within her. Her eyes shimmered with tears as she blinked rapidly, trying to steady herself. She had heard thousands of voices, yet this one broke through her defenses, piercing straight into her heart. Every note seemed to speak of pain, resilience, and hope, and it made her feel as though the boy wasn't just singing, but sharing his soul. Beside her, Jerome, feared for his harsh criticism, leaned forward, his sharp expression melting into something softer. His lips parted, and in a rare moment of vulnerability, he whispered under his breath, "This boy is different." His words, though quiet, carried the weight of truth. The audience responded almost instinctively. Gasps echoed through the room, and goosebumps rippled across arms and necks. People exchanged stunned looks, some covering their mouths, others clutching their chests. Miguel was no longer just performing. He was transforming the air, the people, and the very meaning of the song. Miguel's voice climbed toward the climax, trembling yet unbroken, carrying all the pain and hope that lived inside his young heart. His small hands gripped the microphone as though it were his lifeline, his eyes closed tightly, pouring every ounce of himself into the final notes of Hotel California. The hall was silent, every breath suspended, until his last high note rang out like a cry of victory. Judge Elena's tears finally spilled over. She pressed her hand to her mouth, overwhelmed, before slamming the golden buzzer with all her strength. The sound echoed like thunder, and in an instant golden confetti burst from above, raining down in shimmering waves. The audience leapt to their feet, clapping, shouting, crying, an explosion of emotion filling the hall. Miguel's eyes flew open, confusion and disbelief flashing across his face as the golden lights reflected in them. For a moment, he stood frozen, unable to move, his chest rising and falling as though he couldn't believe what had just happened. Then, from the side of the stage, Rosa ran forward, tears streaming down her face. She wrapped her arms around her son, pulling him close as the confetti swirled around them like falling stars. The audience's cheers grew louder, some chanting Miguel's name, others wiping away their own tears. In that magical moment, the poor boy from Cebu City wasn't just a contestant, he was a star whose voice had conquered every heart in the room. Miguel's knees buckled as the weight of the moment crashed over him, and he sank onto the stage floor, his small frame trembling under the golden rain of confetti. Tears blurred his vision, but through them he could see thousands of faces in the audience, smiling, crying, cheering. The sound of his name rose in waves, echoing through the hall like music of its own. To Miguel, Miguel, Miguel. He pressed a hand against his chest, overwhelmed by the love and disbelief that swelled inside him. Rosa knelt beside him, wrapping her arms around her son as if to shield him from the intensity of the moment, though she herself was crying uncontrollably. For years she had prayed for a day like this, never knowing if it would come. Now she held her boy, no longer just a street singer of Cebu, but a voice that had shaken the world inside that theater. Judge Elena stepped down from the panel, her heels clicking softly against the stage floor as she approached the boy. She crouched beside him, her golden brown eyes still glistening with tears, and gently touched his shoulder. In a whisper meant only for him, she said, "Can never stop singing, you just touched the world." Miguel's breath caught. The words carved themselves into his soul. The boy who once sang for coins on crowded streets now shone beneath dazzling lights, embraced not by poverty, but by a dream finally coming true.